When I was learning React, I see there are many to-do application tutorials, but all of them are boring application. What if we create something like this? See how beautiful this website looks. So today we will create this application from scratch. Now first of all, we need to create a new React application. So open up terminal in your folder and here we write npm create vite@latest. If you are still using create React app for creating React application, then you can watch this video. In that I explain why you need to create application in Vite. Here it is asking for React application name. So I am giving my favorite name TaskCard and hit enter. Select the React and then here we go for JavaScript framework. Good. Now we just need to run these 3 commands. So cd and press tab for auto suggestion. Now simply write npm install for install all packages for React application. Now this will take little time. So let me show you the features of our TaskCard application. You can see it looks really good. Here we have list of tasks which we added and also we have this beautiful form. Here we enter our task and select the tag according to our task. If we again click on that, then tag gets deselect. After that, we have this drop down for select the task status, to do, doing or done, and simply add task. Done. Here you can see task added in this list. I know you are excited to create this application from scratch. So let's switch back to terminal. All packages are installed. Now we want to open this application in the VS Code. Let me tell you shortcut for that. Write code space period and hit enter. Now let's check our application is running or not. So open up terminal by pressing Ctrl plus backtick or Command plus backtick and simply write here npm run dev and hit enter. Here we can see our application is running on localhost 5173. So to open this link in browser, hold Ctrl or Command and click on this link. See, it opens in browser. So here we get the new fresh React application. Now before we actually start building this project, let me explain you how I plan any React application before starting development. And with a plan, we can save a lot of time and effort. And that's the secret why I create projects fast and without writing useless code. It is completely fine if you don't want to follow this process, or you can make your own process. So let me tell you how I think about creating the React project. So first of all, we will create the HTML and CSS part of the application, which means how our application looks without any functionality. Now after our design is ready, then we move to the functionality part, which means if we click on add task, then the task will add in the sections or delete task, etc. Here also we can define some components. For example, here we have this tag design same for many places and that's the one component. After that, we have this single card component. The skeleton of all cards are same, just we have to change the details and that's our another component. After that, we have the same design for these 3 sections. Same, we have to just change the data inside that, but the skeleton is the same, which is our another component. So that's how we can guess the components for React project. But don't worry about that, we can also figure it out while building the design of our project. Just you have to find some design and we can make it as a component. I can see components by just looking at the design because I practice in so many React projects, and with practice you will also do that. So don't worry about these things and let's start building our first project. You can check out my complete React.js course in which you learn React by creating real world project, which you can also add in your resume or CV. Link is down in the description. You can check this out. So first of all, we will create the basic layout, or we can say skeleton of our application. So our web page is divided into two sections, the header and the main. And in the main section, we have three subsections. So let's create this layout. So back to VS Code, and first of all, we will reset all the predefined CSS for all elements because we know some margin and padding are already added by the browser to some elements. We need to remove that. So in the index.css file, we remove all predefined styles and we add star for all elements, and inside this, first we set the margin to 0, padding to 0, and box sizing to border box. These are all CSS concepts that I think you already know. Save this file, and after that, in the app.jsx file, which is our root component, we remove all code and we write RAFCE for adding the boilerplate code. In app.jsx file, we will add our application's components because this is the main entry point for the application's component hierarchy. Now first of all, in this div, we add one header tag for our header section and give it a class name app_header. Remember, we have to use class name at the place of class. And also, here I am using snag case for writing all CSS classes. You can use whatever you want to. After that, we add one main tag for our main section and pass class name to app_main. Now inside this main section, we want to add three sections. So we write a section and add class name task column, and we duplicate this code 2 more times. Also in this div, we add here class name to app, and that's it. Now let's add CSS for this layout. So at the top, we import in quotes period slash for the current folder and app.css. This is a step almost all beginners or even experienced developers forgot to add. So before we add CSS to any components, please make sure we import that CSS file at the top of the component, because without that, our CSS will not apply. Save this file, and now let's open the app.css file, and let's remove all these styles. We don't need this. And at the top, we add .app, and inside it, we have to simply divide it into sections. So for that, we use grid. So write display to grid and grid template rows because we want to define rows, 150 pixel for header section and auto for main section. Save this file and let's see what we get. Oh, sorry, we forgot to add our app component as root component. So in main.jsx file, at the place of this create to do, we write app and also remove these both imports. We don't need it anymore. Save the changes, and here we get just header because we didn't add anything in our main tag. So back to VS Code, and in task column section, we add section 1, after that section 2 and section 3. Save the changes and see, here we get these 3 sections in the main section. Now we want to display this task section one by one in column. So for that, we will use flex. So in the app.css file, we add .app_main, and inside this, we write display flex for apply flexbox and also for setting this section in row. After that, we set justify content to space evenly to align these sections. And we also add some padding to 20 pixel for top bottom and 8% for right and left. Save the changes and take a look. See, here we get our section in center. Let's verify that using inspect. So right click on this section and go to inspect. See, here our section is in center. Now we want to make this section large enough so they cover the space. So we add new class task column and we define width to 33.33%. And for now, let's add background color to tomato. And at last, we add some margin to 20 pixel. Save the changes and take a look. See, here our section covers the width. Now in the next lesson, we will build our header form. So as we know that React works on component-based approach, and here in our application, we didn't create any components. So let's start with our first component for our add task form. Before that, let's remove these both components. We don't need them. And we create a new component called taskform.jsx. Good. Now tell me what we do first in component. Right, we add boilerplate by using rafce. Now open app.jsx file. We cut this header tag and paste it into our task form component. Now at the place of this header text, first we want to add form, and inside this form, first we add input with type text and give it a class name to task_input and also placeholder to enter your task. Now after that, we have to add div tag with class name to task_form_bottom_line. After that, we have to add couple of tag buttons. So we add button with class name tag, and inside this we pass HTML. Now let's duplicate this line 3 more times and we change this text to CSS. After that JavaScript and React. I am going little faster for this designing and CSS part because this is our simple HTML and CSS. I think you already know about that styles. I can give you all styles, but that is not fair because if you are working in React, you also have to write HTML and CSS. So after that, we add select input for drop down and add class name to task_status. And inside this, we add an option tag with the value to do and display text to do. Second option, value to doing and pass here also doing. And third option, value to done and here also done. And at last, we add button with type submit, class name to task_submit, and we write here plus add task. Save this file, and now let's display this component in app component. So open app.jsx file and we simply add here angle bracket task form, and see VS Code auto suggests this component. Select this and press enter or tab, and see our component auto imported at the top. Now make sure we close this component tag, otherwise we will get a compilation error. Or we can use here self-closing element. Good. Save the changes and take a look. See, here we get our form. Now sometimes you might don't like to write CSS, but this CSS part is also necessary for the front-end development. And if you anyway don't want to write this CSS, then I have added all CSS file in the description box. You can download and copy CSS from there. Now in the next lesson, we add styles for this form component. So let's add styles for this form component. So for adding styles, here we create a new file called taskform.css. Now you might ask why we need to create separate file for this component. Can we add the styles in app.css file? And the answer is yes. We can add styles in the app.css file, and that's what some developers do. But that is not the right approach because currently we have only one component, but imagine if we have 5 to 10 components and we add our all styles in same file, then for changing the particular styles, we have to find the CSS in that single file, and that will be hard and also stressful. So that's why we define each component styles in separate CSS file. So let's first of all import in quotes period / taskform.css. Save these and let's add styles in this file. So first of all, we want to move this whole form at the center. So we add .app_header, and inside this, first we set display to flex and align items to center, which will set our form vertically center, and justify content to also center, which will set our form horizontally center. And at last, we add border bottom to 1 pixel, solid, has DC, DC, DC. Save these and take a look. See, our form is in the center. Now let's add styles for this input box. So .task_input, and in curly brackets, font size to 20 pixel, font weight to 500, background color to has F9, 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 color to black, border to 1 pixel, solid, and color to has DF, E3, E6. After that, border radius to 5 pixel, padding to 8 pixel and 12 pixel, margin bottom to 15 pixel, and width to 100%. Save these and see, our input is ready. Now we want to make this form large. So here we add .app_header, angle bracket, we target form, and inside this, we set its width to let's say 40%. Save this and see, our form width is good now. Now let's add styles for these tags. But before that, we need to separate these tags with this drop down and add task button. So in task form component, we wrap this all tags with div tag, and we wrap another part with another div. Save this file, and in the taskform.css file, we add .taskForm bottom line, and inside these curly brackets, we just add df, and see, it suggests display flags. These are small tricks which I learned with the experience of creating many applications. After that, we add align items to center and justify content to space between. Save these and see, our tags and these two are separate. Now let's add style for these tags. So we write .tag, and in curly brackets, first we add font size to 14 pixel, font weight to 500, background color to has F9, 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 border 1 pixel, solid, has DF, E3, E6, border radius to 5 pixel. After that, padding 2 pixel for top bottom and 10 pixel for left right, margin right to 10 pixel, and cursor to pointer. Save the changes and take a look. See, here we get our tag styles. Now let's set CSS for drop down. So write .task_status, and inside this, we add font size to 16 pixel, font weight to 500, border to 1 pixel, solid, has 999, border radius to 5 pixel. After that, width to 120 pixel, height to 40 pixel, and padding to 0 and 5 pixel. Save these and see, our drop down is also ready. Now last style for this submit button. So back to VS Code and write .task_submit, and inside this, first font size to 16 pixel, font weight to 500, background color to has 6457 F9, color to white which is has FFF, border radius to 5 pixel, height to 40 pixel, after that padding to 3 pixel and 13 pixel, margin left to 10 pixel, border to none, and cursor to pointer. This is very basic styles. I don't want to waste your precious time by explaining these styles. If there are some important styles, then surely I will explain you that. Save the changes and take a look. Here we zoom out little bit and see, now our form looks pretty nice. Just one thing, I want to change this placeholder color because it looks little dark. So back to VS Code, and after this input style, we add .task_input :placeholder, and inside these curly brackets, we add color to has 686868. Save the changes and take a look. See, now it looks nice. So in the previous lesson, we create our form component, and in that component, we can see we have this button tag which we are using multiple times, and also when we create TaskCard, we will also use that tag button. So it is better to store single tag in different component. So let's copy this single button tag, and in this component folder, we create a new component called tag.jsx. Write RAFCE for boilerplate, and now here we simply paste that button. Now as we create new component for this tag, let's also create separate file for its CSS. So we create another file called tag.css, and as we know, before writing CSS, we need to import it in this component. So import /tag.css. Save this file. Good. Now open taskform.css file, and we cut this tag style from here. Save this and paste it into our tag.css file. Save this. Now let's add this tag component in task component at the place of tag buttons. So we write angle bracket tag and select the auto suggestion. It will auto import tag component. Now we can remove all these buttons and duplicate this tag component 3 more times. Save the changes and take a look. See, here we get this 4 HTML tag button. Now you might ask, how can we change the button text? And that's the topic of next lesson. Now let's see how we can change the name of this tag button. So for that, we have concept of props in React. So first of all, what is props? Props stands for properties, and props are arguments passed into React components. In simple words, props are used to pass variable in React components. Let's see this practically. Now first of all, let's close this all files by right click on the file name and select close all. Now let's open our task form component. If you wonder how I am opening these files, so just press Ctrl+P or Command+P and write here file name which we want to open and hit enter. See, without using mouse, we can open the files, and these are little productivity hacks which developers use. Now here we want to pass different tag name for this tag component. So here, as we add attributes in HTML elements, here we can also add attributes in component. So we pass name equals to, and here we want to pass tag name. So we add quotes, and inside this, we add HTML. Here, I want to clear one thing. We can give whatever name to this attribute. It's totally on us. For example, here we can pass tag name or anything. And by using this attribute name, we will access this value in that component. I know this is little confusing, but don't worry, watch this complete lesson and your all doubts will clear. For now, let's comment out these other 3 tags, select them and press Ctrl+/ or Command+/. So here we pass our attribute. Now let's see how we can access this attribute value inside our component. Save this file and open tag.jsx file. Now for accessing the props value, we can simply pass here props as an parameter on this component function. This props is object which contains all values of attribute which we set in tag component. So we simply console.log props and add here props. Save the changes and take a look. Open up console and see, here we get this object which have tag name property and its value. Now let's print this value for our tag button. So here at the place of this HTML, we add curly brackets because we are writing JavaScript expression, and inside this we write props.tagName. Save the changes and see, here we get HTML. Now let's add 3 other tags. So back to our component and we remove comment from these tags by using Ctrl+/ or Command+/. And here we pass tag name to CSS. After that, tag name to JavaScript, and at last, tag name to React. Save the changes and take a look. See, here we get these tags with different tag name. And that's how we pass attributes for components. So let's quickly recap all about props. So props is a way to pass data from parent component to a child component. In our case, task form is our parent component and tag, which is inside this parent component, we call it as child component. And we want to pass data from task form component to tag component. So we simply pass attribute of tag name, and here we pass string value. But we can also pass arrays, objects, or even functions in the props. After that, for accessing the value of these props, we add props parameter in this component function and we get our data into this child component. Simple as that. Now let's build each output list column. Here we can see that in our design, just we have to change the title of the column and emoji. But the structure of all these columns are same. So we can build component for the column and then reuse that component. And that's how we need to think about when we are working on React, because React is based on component structure. So let's create a new component called taskColumn.jsx. Inside this, we add boilerplate, and in app.jsx file, we simply cut this task column section and paste it in our task column component. Now first of all, in this column, we want to add title. So we create s2 tag and we write to do. Now as we know, we have here image. So open up resources folder, and inside this, we have assets folder. Now simply drag all images from this folder and drop it in our project assets folder. Now let's see how we can add image in React, because it is little different from what we do in HTML. So we add image tag into this s2 tag, and here we cannot add relative image path. It will not work. So for adding any image, whether it is JPG, PNG or even SVG, first we need to import that image at the top. Because as we know, React uses bundler like Webpack to bundle all the code and assets which are used in the application. And when we import image file in our component, then bundler knows to include the image in the bundle. So that's why we need to import image. So we write at the top, import todo from, here we go one folder up, assets, and import direct-hit.png. Now in this image source, we add curly brackets and add our todo. Now you might ask, what is inside this todo? So this is nothing but just a path of our image which placed by bundle. Let me show you. So before return, we simply console.log this todo. Save the changes and take a look. Oh, it looks mess. So first of all, let's remove this props console. Open tag.jsx file and remove this console.log line. Save the changes and we get nothing because we need to add our task column component in our app component. So back to VS Code, and in our app component, we add task column component and see auto import works. Save the changes and take a look. And see, here we get the path of our image. Also, we can directly add URL in the source, but this is how we add local images in React. Now let's add style for this image and title. So in this image tag, we add class name to task column icon. And also for this heading, we add class name to task column heading. Save this file and let's create separate file for our task column styles called taskcolumn.css. The reason why we always give it a same name as our component name, because just by looking the file name, we can know this file contains CSS of this task column component. So let's first of all import taskcolumn.css file at the top of our component. Save this and now let's add some CSS. So first of all, we want to make our image small. So we write .task column icon, and inside this we write width to 30 pixel, margin right to 5 pixel. Save this and our icon looks perfect. But this text and icon is not vertically centered. And also let's remove this tomato background. So we add .task column heading, and inside these curly brackets we add display to flex and align items to center. Save these and let's remove that tomato background from app.css file. So open that file and remove this background property. Save the changes and take a look. See, now our title looks nice. Now let's replace these two sections with our task column component. So head over to app.jsx file and we remove these both sections and simply add two more task column component. Save the changes and take a look. See, we get 3 sections. Now here is a little exercise for you. Simply, we need to change the title of these 2 columns. Don't worry about changing this image, just try to change these headings. So I hope you solved this exercise, and if you can't solve this, then don't worry, at least you tried that, and that is the important thing. Now let's see the solution of this exercise. So here, we have to use props because we want to pass data from parent component to child component. So we pass here props, title to todo, second title to doing, and last title to done. Save this file and let's access these props in task column component. So at this component function, we pass props as parameter and we simply replace this to do with curly brackets and props.title. Also, let's remove this console, we don't need that. Save the changes and take a look. See, we get titles. So now I think you have clear understanding of how to use props. Now let's see how we can change these icons. So for that, we also use props. Let me tell you the logic. So first, we import all three images in this app component and we will pass that as a props. So at the top, we first import to-do icon from period / assets and direct hit.png. After that, import doing icon from assets and glowing star.png. And at last, we import done icon from assets and check mark button.png. Now let's pass these icons using props. So here we write icon equals to and we use curly brackets. Can you tell me why? Right, because we are writing JavaScript expression and we pass to do icon. Similarly, icon equals to doing icon and after that icon equals to done icon. Save this file and in the task column component, at the place of this to do, we simply write props.icon. Save the changes and take a look. See, here we get these icons. You can see how simple React is. At the beginning, almost all developers scared by React. Even I also scared from React. But with practicing and creating more application, we learned React fast. So don't worry about that. Just practice your skills and with that, you will also master React. Now here, in our component, we can see whenever we want to access any props, we have to write here props.title and props.icon. But that looks little bit ugly. So we can use object destructuring for that. So here we write const object equals to props. And inside this object, we simply pass here our property names, title and icon. Or we can even simplify this by directly adding this object at the place of these props. This both works the same. So most common, we use this method, remove these lines, and also at the place of this props.icon, we write icon, and also here we write title. Save the changes, and it works the same as before. Now in the next lesson, we build our last UI part, which is TaskCard. So let's build a new component called TaskCard.jsx. And also, we create a new CSS file called TaskCard.css. Now in our TaskCard component, let's add boilerplate for this component using RAFCE. And at the top, we simply import TaskCard.css file. So we don't need to worry about that. Now let's add elements for this card. So at the place of this div, we can write article with class name TaskCard. You can also use div, but I like to use semantic tags. Now inside this, first we create one paragraph for adding task details and class name to task_text. And inside this, we simply write this is sample text. Now in the next line, we need tags at the left side and delete button at the right side. So we create one div here with class name TaskCard bottom line. And inside this, we add two more div. One with class name TaskCard tags and second class name with task delete. Now in the first div, we add our tag component. See, auto import does not work. So at the top, we import tag component from tag module. And let's add this component in our card. Now we simply pass here name props to let's say HTML. Let's duplicate this tag and change name to CSS. Done. Now let's add image in this task delete. And for adding image, at the top we have to import image. So import delete icon. From we go one folder up, assets and delete.png. And in the image source, we pass curly brackets, delete icon and also class name to delete icon. Save this file and now let's add this component into task column. So open up task column component. So here after our heading, we add task card component and see now auto import works. Save the changes and take a look. See, here we get our elements. Now let's add styles for this card. So our card looks like real card. So in TaskCard.css file, we write .taskCard and in the curly brackets, first we add width to 100%, mean height to 100 pixel, border to 1 pixel, solid has DC, DC, DC. Next, border radius to 10 pixel, padding to 15 pixel and margin to 15 pixel for top and bottom and 0 for left and right. After that, we add styles for text. So we write .task text and in the curly brackets, we add font size 18 pixel, font weight to 600, margin bottom to 15 pixel. Save the changes and I don't see any difference because of this giant icon. So let's add styles for that. So we add .task_delete and inside this we write width to 35 pixel, height to 35 pixel, border radius 100% for making it complete circle. Now we want to set delete icon at the center of this div. So we add display flex, align items to center, justify content also center, cursor to pointer and transition to all 0.3 second, ease in and out. This is for adding little smooth animation. Now let's add hover effect for icon background. So .task_delete hover and we just want to change the background color to has EB. Now after that, let's make our icon small. So .delete icon and inside this, we add width to 20 pixel. Save the changes and take a look. Fine. Now here we need to make these two divs in single line and place them left and right corner. So back to VS Code, we add here .taskCard bottom line and inside this we write display to flex, align items to center and justify content to space between. Save these and see, we get our card. Now let me show you one little trick which I used a lot. So currently this delete icon looks too much dark. So in the delete icon CSS, we add opacity to 50%. And also we add here transition all 0.3 second, is in out. And after this, we add .task delete hover space .delete icon, and we make opacity to 80% because we want to increase this icon opacity when someone even hovers circle. Save the changes and take a look. See, now our card looks nice. Now from next section, we are starting to add functionality for this application, which is the main purpose of this course. I know I write little fast CSS, but that is because we are here for learning React. If in React course we learn CSS, then some of you might don't like that. And also, I am writing this CSS fast because I practiced this application before recording this course, so don't confuse by that. And if you are continuously watching this course, then please take 10 to 15 minutes break and get some fresh air. I will see you in the next section. Now before we start adding functionality in our application, first of all, let's understand the logic of this application. So here, first we create array of tasks which have all tasks. Now each task is the object with 3 properties. First, task itself. After that, we have status of task which can to do, doing or done. And third, we have tags, which is the array of selected tags. So when user add new task, we add new task object with these 3 properties. And then we will show them in task column. Simple as that. So first of all, we are going to handle this form. Handling the form means here we have to get user input values like the text, task status, and selected tags. If we don't have these details, then how can we store that details? So open up task form component, and do you remember what we will use to get user input? Right, it is useStateHook. So here at the top, we import useStateHook, and inside our component, at the top, we create state variable called task and set task, and as a default value, we pass here empty string. Now when something change in our input, we simply set that value in this task state. So here we pass event called onChange, and inside this event we have event object, arrow function, and here we simply call set task. Now as we know that whatever value we pass in this set task function, it will be the value of our task state. So e.target.value. Now let's verify we are getting our task or not. So simply console.log this task. Save the changes and take a look. Write something in this text box and see we are getting the input value. Now at the place of writing this expression here, we can write it in separate function. So we pass here function name handle task change, and inside this we pass this event object. Now let's define this function. So const handle task change equals to, here we get our event object which we pass from here, arrow function, and inside this we set task to event.target.value. Save the changes and see it works the same as before. So we can write this code in both methods. Now here we can even make this code shorter. So at the place of this expression, in React we can directly pass our function name, which is handle task change. This both works the same. But remember, we have to use here arrow function syntax, otherwise this will not get event object. So we get the value of our input. Now let's see how we can get value of this drop down. So as we do for this input, same we do with that drop down. So first of all, we create one more state variable for storing the value of current state. So write useState and pass here status and set status, and as a default value we pass here to do, because by default if user don't select any value then we add status to do. Now in this select tag we add here event called onChange, and inside this we pass new function reference handle status change. Now let's also define this function. We can also duplicate this function, and at the place of this name we write our new function name handle status change, and at the place of this set task we write set status, and that's it. Let's verify that works or not. So here we also add status in the console. Save the changes and take a look. Write something and we can see by default we get to do as status. Now let's change value from drop down and see, here we get that value. So it's working. Now here is one problem. As we can see, for each value we have to create here state variables, and also we have to define separate function for handle change, and that's a lot work. So you might ask, is there any shortcut trick for that? And the answer is yes. There is one little trick which we see in the next lesson. So currently in our form we have only 2 form fields. But imagine if we have 5 to 6 fields and you create state variable for each input, and that makes our code messy and hard to manage. So let's see how to handle multiple inputs using single onChange function. So in previous lesson, we create individual state variables for form fields, and then in each handle change function, we set that value to our state variable. But in this method, we create only one state variable for all input fields. Let me show you. So let's comment out this code, and at the top, we create a new state variable called task data and set task data. And now as default value, we pass here object. And in that object, we have multiple properties in key value pair. So we add task to empty string and status to do. Now let's create a new function, handle change equals to arrow function, and we will call this function on every input's onChange event. So in our input field, we write here handle change. Now let's simply copy this onChange event and paste it in our select tag. So whenever we type or change the value in any of these fields, only this handle change function will run. Now most important step, and without this step, this method will not work. So the step is, we have to add all properties as its name attribute from our state object. Let me show you what I mean. So for our task input, we want to store its input value in this task property. So in our input tag, we add here name attribute equals to task. Now for our status dropdown, we want to set its value in this status property. So we add in this select field name attribute to status. Make sure we write the same name as we write in the task data object. Now inside this handle change function, we write our main logic. So here we pass this E as event object for all these fields. And let's simply console.log this e.target. Save the changes and take a look. See, when we type in task input, we get this task input, and when we select value from dropdown, we get that select tag. So our main logic is, when we type in form field, first we get that field name and value, and with that name, which will be the same as our task data property, we replace its value by current value. I know this sounds little complicated, but it's not. Let's see these, and after that your all doubts will clear. So we create here name variable equals to e.target.name, and we create another variable value equals to e.target.value, and let's console both these variables. Save the changes and take a look. See, we get field name and its value when we type in this input fields. Now we just have to set this value inside our state variable related to its property name. So we write here set task data, and we get here previous values by this previous parameter. This previous value is same as our current task data value. Now in this arrow function, we return object, and first of all, we return all previous value using spread operator. Now we only need to update field with its value. So whatever we return from this callback function, that will be the value of our state variable. Now here we know we can access object property by using square bracket and pass this name variable inside it and colon its value. Now if we write anything inside task input, then first this will return all previous properties, and then we find property task and replace its value with the task field value. Simple as that. Let's console.log this task data variable and see if we get values or not. Save the changes and take a look. See, when we update any field, we get its value in our state object. So it's working. Now we can make this code even shorter by using object restructuring. So we write e.target, and by using object restructuring, we fetch a name and value variable. So these two lines are same as this one line code. So we remove these two lines. Now we want to console this task data object when we click on Add Task Submit button. So we create here new function called handle submit, and inside this function we simply move this console. Now in the form tag, we pass on submit event, and we pass here handle submit function. Now you might ask, can we pass that function in on-click event of this button? And the answer is yes. You can also pass this function on on-click event. But why we pass that function in on submit? So the reason is, when someone writing in the input box and then press enter, and also when someone click on submit button, in this both cases, this handle submit function will run. If we only pass that function in on-click event, then it will only work on button click. Save the changes and take a look. Write some task and select the drop-down value and click on submit. See, for just a second we get the value, but after that our page gets refreshed because it's the default behavior of form. So whenever we submit the form, this handle submit function will run and then it refreshes the page. We have to stop this. So we add here this e as event object and write e.preventDefault. This function will prevent form defaults behavior. Save the changes and take a look. Fill this form and see, here we get these details. So let's quickly recap this trick. First of all, at the place of creating multiple use state, we create single state variable which is object, and in that object we will add properties name and their default value. Now for getting the form field name, we will pass name property exact same as this object properties name. After that, we will pass one single function for all form fields on change event, and inside this function First we get name and value attribute from event object, and then we replace the current value of our task data object. Simple as that. So that's how we manage multiple form fields in React using shortcut method. You can see, just by using 2 lines of code, we can set values in our object. Now let me show you something interesting. We simply here duplicate this console task data and move it outside in our component. Now one of the most arising question which all React beginners ask me is, when we do console.log, why we are seeing all data twice? Should we did something wrong? And when I was learning React first time, I also asked the same question. And the answer is no. You are not doing anything wrong. It is happening because of React strict mode. So in our project, open up main.jsx file. Here we can see React wrap our application with this react.strict mode component. So for now, let's comment out this strict mode component, save the changes and take a look. And see, here we get our data one time. So it's confirmed that is because of React strict mode. But why we need this strict mode? So React strict mode is a tool provided by React that helps developers write better quality code by highlighting the potential problems during development. When we wrap our application with React.strict mode, it activates additional checks and warnings that will help you to identify issue before they cause problem in production. For example, it will check for not supported or deprecated React APIs and components, unsafe state updates, potentially unnecessary re-renders, and that's why it render our application twice. So it's better to enable strict mode for our application. Let's remove these comments and enable strict mode for our application. Save the changes and take a look. See, again we get 2 data objects. So in React 18, strict mode is by default turned on and React renders each component twice. So that's how strict mode works in the development process. When we deploy our application for production, this strict mode will not added and that will render our components only once. So don't worry about that. Let's also remove our console.log line. Now in the next lesson, we will see implementation of tag selection. Now let's implement the tag selection functionality. But before that, let's remove this comment out code. Now in our task data variable, we add another property called tags and pass empty array as default value. So when we select any tag, we will add that tag into this array. And if that tag is already in this array, then we will remove that tag. Simple as that. And this is my trick to implement any logic in programming. Should I give you this trick? Let me give you. So the trick is, whenever we want to add any functionality, describe that functionality in human language. And that's it. That's how you can crack the logic of any functionality. So first of all, here we create a new function called select tag, arrow function, and this function will run when we click on any of the tag. So we have to pass function inside this tag component. How can we do that? Right, by using props. So here we simply pass props called select tag and pass here our function name, which is select tag. Here we are using the same property name as our function name because we don't need to worry about keeping the new name. You can write here any name, it's totally up to you. Now let's copy these and paste it for all tag components. Save these, and now let's open this tag component, and here at the prop we can destructure object and get here tag name and select tag. Now let's remove these props, and also here we pass onClick event, and we simply pass this select tag here. And that's it, our select tag function will run on this each tag click. Now let's write our logic for select tag function. First of all, question is, how can we get the current selected tag? Because without knowing the tag name, how can we write any logic? So in the tag component, we can pass this tag name as argument of this select tag function. But we can't call this function here because then our function will run only once. So for solving that issue, we can pass here arrow function, and inside this, we can call this select tag function and pass tag name as argument. Save this file, and in the task form component, we get here tag as parameter and simply console.log this tag. Save the changes and take a look. See, when we click on this tag button, we get this tag name. But our form also gets submitted because we are getting the task data object here. See? So let's solve that. So open up tag component. We have to simply pass here button type to button, because in all browsers except Internet Explorer, default type of button is submit, and that's why our form gets submitted. Save these and see, now we only get tag name. Now our next task is we want to store this tag into tags array. So in select tag function, first of all, we write if condition, and here we want to check our tag is already available in tags array or not. So we write task data dot tags. Now here we use sum method, and inside it we get here each item, arrow function, and we have to pass here condition item is equal to tag. Let me explain you this expression. So this sum method will return true or false value. So we are checking here each item of our task data dot tags array, and here we compare it with our tag name. For example, we select HTML tag, then this expression will check each value of these tags, and if HTML is available in that array, then it will return true, otherwise false. Simple as that. So what we will do, if tag is already available, right, we will remove that tag from that array. So we write task data dot tags dot filter. Now also in this we get each item, arrow function, and we pass here condition item not equals to tag. Now as we know, this filter method will get items which will pass this condition and return a new array. So we store that in variable called filter tags. Now we have to update our tags value by this new filter tags. So we write set task data. First we get here previous value, arrow function, and inside it we return here object, and first we add all previous values using spread operator, and we simply override tags to filter tags. Now we add else condition, which means our tag is not available in this tags array. So we can directly add that tag in our array. So we write set task data, and also inside this we get previous value, arrow function, and here we return object, and here we add all previous values using spread operator, because without that our task and status will also get replaced. And after that we override tags, and here we pass our current tag. Now let's see if this works or not. So simply console.log taskdata.tags. Save the changes and take a look. Select any tag and see we get that tag here. Now again click on that tag. See, it's gone. Now here is a one bug. Select one tag and then select another tag. You can see our previous tag is gone. So why this is happening? Let's find that. So here in else condition, we directly replace all tags value with the current tag. And that's why our old tag will replaced by new tag. So here we also use spread operator previous dot tags, which has all old tags, and simply add new tag at the end. I intentionally do this mistake because I want to show you the importance of these previous values. Save the changes and take a look. Select the tags and see, it's working. Now when we select our tag, we can't show any effect on our page, and that's the bad user experience. So to display the selected tag, we only need to check whether that tag is available in our tags array or not. So here we create a new function called check tag arrow function, and now inside this we simply want to return true or false for the tag. So do you remember which method we used to check? We have already done that in the select tag function, which is using sum method. So we simply return here task data dot tags dot sum. Inside it we get each item, arrow function, and we check item is equal to our tag, and we get that tag from the parameter. Now we pass this true and false value for each tag. So scroll to the tag component. We pass here one more props called selected, and here we call check tag function, and inside this we pass our tag name in double quotes. Note that we write the same name as we pass in tag name. Save this file, and in the tag component we get here selected props. Now using these selected props, we can add selected effect. So here we will use inline styles because we want to set different color for the HTML, CSS, JavaScript and React tag. So for that, we create one variable called tag style, and we declare that as object, and inside this object we add key value pair. Let me show you. First we pass HTML, and here as a value we pass object with background color property and value to has FD A821. Now you might ask why we add here object. So the reason is we know that in inline styles we have to pass style object. So we can directly add this object by tag name. Now let's add styles for other tags. So duplicate this key value pair 4 more times, and here we add CSS and change background color to has 15D4C8. Now for JavaScript, we change background color to has FFD1 2C. And for React, background color to has 4C DAFC. Note that write the same name of tag that we pass in the tag name props, otherwise it will not work. Now you might think why we add one more key value pair. So this last one for the default background for not selected tags. So we add default and background color to has F9, F9, F9. Now let's add styles according to conditions. So we add here style equals to curly brackets because we are adding JavaScript expression, which is if selected is true, we add that text style. So text style, and in a square bracket we pass tag name. Else, we add tag style dot default. Simple as that. Save the changes and take a look. See, when we select the tag, its background color will change and after that back to normal. Now with other tags, we don't see these styles because we didn't pass selected props for them. So back to task form component. Here we select this selected props and copy it from here and paste it here, and we change tag name to CSS. Now same as we do for JavaScript, and also we do the same for React. Save the changes and take a look. See, now our all tags have this selected effect. I know this inline style object is confusing you, but if you revise this code, you will understand that properly. After that, you will see how simple it is to implement this selecting functionality. Just you have to think in day-to-day language for everything on Google. If you try something and stuck, then use that as a tool. Now here, we have all details about task in this task data variable. So in the next lesson, we will see how can we display that task in our section. Now let's add our main functionality of this application, which is adding task. Without that feature, our application is not useful. So here, we are going to store all our tasks in single array. And by using the status property, we will display them in each section. We make that array as a state variable because when we add the task or delete the task, we want to see the changes on our DOM. Now the question is, in which part of our application we need that array? First of all, we need to access that array set function in our task form component. Because when we submit our task, we want to add that in this array. And after that, we need to display that array state in this task column component. So we need the task array in these two components, task form and task column. So we have to create that state variable in this app component. So we can pass that as props in these two components. So at the top, we import useState from React library. And in the component, we write useState and pass variable name, task and set task. And we pass empty array as a default value. Now let's pass this set task function as a props in this task form component. Save this file and hold Ctrl or Command and just click on the component name. It will lead us to that component file. Now here at the parameter, we destructure props. I know in this component we don't need that, but that is a good practice which helps us in future. So here we get set task, and in the handle submit function, we will set our task data in this set task function. So at the bottom, we write set task. Now here also, we get first previous values, arrow function, and return here array, and first we add all previous values using spread operator. And after that, we simply add task data object. And that's it. Now let's zoom out little bit my VS Code with Ctrl and minus or Command and minus. Save this file and let's verify what we get. So back to app.jsx file and simply console.log task, task. Save the changes and take a look. We write these and we can see we are getting tags array. So let's clean this console. Open task form component and here we remove this console tags line. Save this and let's refresh the page. write this is task 1, we select tags and we select status to doing and click on add task. See, here we get this task. Now let's add one more task. Select tags, status to do and add task. See, it get that also. So that's working. Now let's display those tasks in this column. So in app component, here in this task column component, we pass first task as props, and after that, we have to filter those tasks by status. For example, if status is doing, then we only display task which status is doing. So we pass here status equals to do. Now let's copy these both props and pass here in this task column. And we simply change status to doing, and here also we paste these props and change status to done. Save these. Now in the task column component, we simply destructure here task and status. Now at the place of this static task card, we add here curly brackets task.map. Here we get each task and also index, and we simply add here condition task.status is equal to this status, and then we return task component, and inside it we pass key attribute for each unique item, which is our index. This AND operator will only for true expression. So only if this condition is true, then we return this task card component. Otherwise, we don't get anything. Save the changes and take a look. See, here we get two cards. One in to do and one in doing. Now we have to only change these details inside this card. So for displaying these details in our card component, we have to pass them using props. So here we add title equals to task.task. After that, tags equals to task.tags. Save this file, and now let's display these two values in our card. So in card component, we destructure props here and get title and tags. Now at the place of this text, we write title, and at the place of this tags, we add curly brackets and tags.map method. Here we get each tag and also index for passing it into key. Arrow function, and we return here tag component, and we pass key to index and tag name to tag. Save the changes and take a look. See, here we get these details and tags. Now last thing, we want to show colorful tags. So do you remember we have selected property, and by that we can add colorful tags. Let me show you. So here we pass just selected equals to true, and that's it. Save the changes and take a look. See, now our card looks really good. Also, if we want to pass any props value to true all the time, we can write only that prop name, same as we write disable attribute in HTML. Save these and see, it works the same as before. Now before we start implementing delete functionality, let's fix this little thing in our form. So when we add our task, these old details are still here. So if user want to add another tag, then they have to first deselect the tags, and that's not the good user experience. So when you create website for any client, you have to also thought yourself as the user of that application and figure out what problems or bugs are available in your application. So in task form component, we want to reset this form after we set our task data in the set task function. Basically, we are resetting this task data object to the default value. So we write set task data, and inside this, we simply copy this default object and paste it here, and that's it. Save the changes and take a look. Submit the form and see our text get reset, but this text box and this drop down is still same. Why is that happen? Let's find this out. So here in this input element, we are not linking the value of our task to this input value. Let me show you what I means. So here when something we change in this input, that input value will add in our task data.task property. But when we change our task data.task property, then how React will change the input value? We didn't do anything for that. Don't worry, this is very simple. So for that, we simply add here value attribute and in curly brackets task data.task. And also in this select, we pass value attribute equals to task data.status. And that's why we need to add value property so it works both way. Save the changes and take a look. Write task, select tag, and also select status and submit the form. And see, our form gets reset properly. Now let's see how we can delete task from here. So back to our app component, here we create function which will handle delete functionality. Now how can we delete a specific task? So here we know each task element has its unique index. So we pass here task index. Now inside this, we use filter method. So task.filter, here we get each task, and in second parameter, index, arrow function, and here we pass our condition. So we want to only take that task which index is not equals to task index. Now we know that this filter method returns a new array. So we simply store that in variable called new task. And after that, we set this new task in set task function. Now our delete function is ready. We have to only make that function run on our delete click event. So we pass new props in these 3 task column components. Click here and hold Alt or Option and click here and here. That will create multiple cursor. And we simply write here handle delete equals to handle delete and press escape. Save this file and now open this task column component, and here we get handle delete props and simply pass that in this TaskCard component. Handle delete equals to handle delete, and also we pass index equals to index because we need to pass that index in this handle delete function. And we can see that here we are passing nested props, which is this handle delete function. Save this file, and now in the TaskCard component, in the props, we get handle delete and index. Now in this div, we pass here event called onClick, and here we pass handle delete function. Now we have to pass index value in this handle delete function, otherwise our delete functionality will not work. So how can we do that? Right, we simply pass here arrow function. Save the changes and take a look. Click on delete icon and you can see how smooth that task gone. So that's how simple to implement delete functionality. Now here you might have question why we create delete function in our app component. We can't create that in task component. Yes, we can also create handle delete function in TaskCard component. But here you can see this handle delete function need task state and also set task function. If we create handle delete function in TaskCard component, then we have to pass this task and set task both as the props. And if we create handle delete in app component, which have both variables, then we have to pass only this handle delete function as props. So that's the reason. Now let's make our project little more interesting. So here we have task in our application. Now let's refresh our page and see our all task is gone. Because when we refresh the page, our application starts from the scratch, and that will define task to empty array. So how can we save our task even if we refresh the page? So the solution is we can store our task in the local storage. Now you might ask, what is local storage? Local storage is a feature in web browsers that allows web application to store data on the user's system. This data can be accessed later by the website even if the user closes the browser and opens it again. So we store all our tasks in local storage, which is different for each user, and after that in our app component, we will pass that old task as default value. Let me show you. Here, outside of this component, we create one variable called old task, and now we want to get data from local storage. So we write here local get item, and inside this function, we will pass our variable name which we want to access. Let's say task. Now let's simply console.log this old task. Save the changes and take a look. See, here we get null because we haven't stored our task in local storage. Let me show you the local storage. So click on these arrows and go to the application tab. Now here in this storage, we get local storage, and in this local storage, we have multiple website URL. For React, our endpoint is localhost 5173. So select that and see, here we get nothing. Now let's see how we can store this task in local storage. But let's first understand the logic of that. Imagine we write code for storing tasks in local storage. Now if we delete one task, then we also need to replace that task array in local storage. So if we have something that automatically runs when our task state change, then our problem is solved, right? So the good news is we have that feature in React for detecting the changes in state variable. We have one hook called useEffect, and that's the topic of next lesson. So let's first understand what is useEffect. UseEffect is used to perform side effects in our component. So what are side effects? Side effects are actions which are performed with the outside world. We perform a side effect when we need to reach outside of our React components to do something. For example, fetching data from API directly updates the DOM in which we use document or window object, or timer function like set timeout or set interval. These are the most common side effects in React. So to perform any kind of side effects, we need to use useEffect hook. Don't worry about this theory, let's see this practically. So to use any hook, we need to first import that hook from React library. So we write here useEffect, and now we can use it in the function component. So we call useEffect hook, which accepts two arguments. First, callback function, which is a function in which we write our side effect logic. This function will execute whenever something changes in this whole component. And second argument is dependencies, which is an array of variables, and it's an optional argument. In simple terms, the first argument is what to run and the second one is when to run. So useEffect runs on every render, which means when the count changes, a render happens, which triggers another effect. But we can control that by dependencies. If you are familiar with class components, useEffect is the combination of component did mount, component did update, and component did unmount. Now useEffect has 3 variations. Don't worry, we will see each variation in details in upcoming section. But currently, let me tell you in very short. So first one, useEffect without any dependencies. So if we don't pass any dependencies, this callback function will run every single time when something changes in our component. Second, useEffect with empty array. So if we only pass an empty array, this callback function will run only one time when our component gets rendered first time. And third, useEffect with variables. So for example, if we pass here task variable, so when this task state change, only then this callback function run. And that's what we want to do here. So inside this callback function, we write local storage dot set item. Now at the first parameter, we pass our variable name, which is task. And at the second parameter, we pass our task array. But here, we have to convert this array into string format because local storage can only store strings as values. If we store directly array as a value, then it will automatically convert it into string, but then we can't access that later as an array. So we use here json.stringify method and pass our task array here. This function will also convert our array in the string format. The only difference is we can convert that string into array again and use it. Save the changes and take a look. Submit one task and we get that task here. Now let's see it is also storing in local storage or not. Open up local storage and here we see our new task. Now if we add another task, see our local storage gets updated. Now as we know, we store our array in string. So when we get that array, we have to convert that back in array. So back to our app component and at the place of this empty array, we pass json.parse and inside this, we pass this old task value. This function will convert our string in array. Save the changes and refresh the page. See, we don't lose our task. Delete one task and also try to refresh the page. See, we also get updated task. So it's working properly. Now here is one little bug. Open up local storage and if we delete this task array from here and after that we refresh this page, see here we get this error because we can't find task in local storage. So to solve that, we pass here OR operator and here empty array. So if this expression returns null, then it takes an empty array as the default value. Save the changes and take a look. Now our application works well. Now our project is almost done. I add here some tasks for demo. Now we just need to change our font styles for our application. So there are two most popular ways to add fonts in React application. First one is we have offline font file in our system and also we can use CDN link for adding fonts. So let's see the easiest way, which is using CDN link. We will see offline method later in this course. Don't worry about that. So in this project, we are going to add Montserrat font. So head over to browser, open a new tab and search Montserrat Google font. Open this first link. Now on this website, we get a lots of font for free. Also, we have another website, Font Squirrel. You can use whatever you want to. It totally depends on you. Here, we can select different font styles which we want to use. So select 400, 500, 600, 700 and 800. Now in this section, we have option. Simply select import section and copy this import statement, and in our index.css file, at the top, we paste this CDN link. Good. Now back to browser again and scroll down and copy this CSS family. And in our index.css file, we add here styles for body, and inside it, we paste our font family. Save this file and see, we get our styles and fonts. Now our application looks really amazing. So here our application is ready. Add this project in your GitHub account and you can also add it in your resume. So I hope you like this tutorial. Whatever you like or don't like, give me feedback in the comment section. I like to hear about that. Also, comment what you want to learn next, and I will see your smiling faces in the next video.